A couple of days after the release of God of War Valhalla, I noticed fans of the series asking me when the new theories would arrive. And if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I don't really have that many videos planned after Valhalla. The DLC itself was a great addition to the series, but it's still pretty short, which means there's not enough things for me to discuss. However, there is one moment in the story that as soon as I saw it, I knew I had to talk about it. Here it is.
No! Get me out of here! Brother! What is this? Help me! I'm trying! Brother! Please! Please! Do not panic. We will simply return to the gate. I don't think so! I think you've broken how Valhalla works! Oh! I think this is it, brother!
This is probably my favorite moment in the entire DLC. Seeing Kratos this worried about Mimir shows just how much he's changed as a character. But what really gets me, it's this thing. What exactly is happening here? Where is Kratos and Mimir falling to? Before we get into that, I think it's best if we start by establishing what Valhalla is, because it's nothing like the one from Norse mythology. Well, the concept is very similar, but God of War does add a couple of new details. Valhalla is one of the Norse world's afterlife. While Helheim houses all of those who had an unworthy death, Valhalla houses those warriors who had a worthy death. However, entering Valhalla is not as simple as just dying in combat. When you first reach Valhalla, warriors have to go through a gauntlet, each challenge consisting of past memories that are there to help warriors resolve their past life trauma. If the warrior is successful in overcoming his past, he can move on to what we traditionally know as Valhalla, a place of drinking, feasting, and training for Ragnarok. Now, something else that's new in the DLC is the fact that Odin doesn't really have any power over Valhalla. Valhalla and the Order of the Valkyries is a primordial force very similar to, you guessed it, the primordials of the Greek pantheon. And you know me, whenever I hear the word primordial, the first thing that comes to mind is the higher plane of existence. Because all of these primordial forces and beings had to emerge from somewhere. So I've theorized there has to be a higher order of gods who essentially kickstarted all of the pantheons from the God of War universe. Now, I should say that we know practically nothing about this place, but we do know that Santa Monica has been teasing it for quite some time now. The most recent teases have to be the Fallen God comics, the mask from God of War Ragnarok, and surprisingly, God of War Valhalla.
You can see how all the little realm spaces connect to the higher plane.
There is absolutely no way that Santa Monica wrote the words higher plane by mistake. They knew this phrase would trigger a similar reaction with every hardcore fan of the series. And whenever we think of the higher plane of existence, we think of
Athena.
Now, I should say that I no longer believe the Athena from God of War 3 was actually Athena. This is because in the Fallen God comics, the Athena there behaves very differently, and the mask and Athena from God of War 3 seem to share the same green color, which tells me something or someone is trying to influence the events of this world. Alright, let's pause here for a second. You're probably wondering how this higher plane of existence work, because sometimes they seem to have malicious intent, while other times they seem to genuinely be there to help Kratos. So which one is it? Again, I have to repeat myself and say that we practically know nothing about this realm. But like many things in life, I'm willing to bet that there are two sides to it. I believe there's one group in the higher plane of existence that truly have the universe's best interest in mind, while there's another side that doesn't. I've referred to this being as the demiurge from Gnosticism. That's why Athena and the rifts share the same color. You can check out this video if you want to learn more about the topic. Now, if there are two sides to the higher plane of existence, which side does Valhalla fall into? If I had to guess, I would say that Valhalla draws from the evil side of the higher plane of existence. The clear evidence being the red color, which is always associated with evil. Alright, thanks for watching. Now, in all seriousness, I do think it belongs to the evil side, but that's not the main reason. Obviously, I need stronger evidence to support the claim that Valhalla draws from the evil side of the higher plane of existence. And I think I have it. So what if I tell you that we have seen this red vortex before? Not in Valhalla, and not in God of War Ragnarok, but in God of War 2018 itself. This might be something many of you forgotten, but when Kratos goes back home to retrieve the Blades of Chaos, do you remember what color the sky was? It was red. And even more creepy was the fact that there was a red vortex right above Kratos' home. And what happened when Kratos reached his home? Who did he see in there? he saw Athena, who's the poster child for the higher plane of existence. Now, I know what some old fans are going to say against this theory. In an old interview, Matt Sophos confirmed that Athena wasn't actually there. It was just a projection of Kratos' mind, which funny enough sounds very similar to the experiences Kratos has in Valhalla, but I digress. But it is true that Matt did say that Athena wasn't there. So how am I gonna resolve this little issue here? It's not that difficult. All I have to say is that this story isn't real. When I started making theories, I took this statement from Cory Barlog way too literal.
If we do a second game or a third game, you're going to go back to the first one and you're going to be like, oh my god, that was there. Right? I have so many things in there that are just setups for much later and much later and really far later.
Stories are not written in advance. The truth is that retcons exist. No one likes them, but they are always present, especially when new writers are introduced to the stories. So while Matt Sophos intended this Athena to be a projection of Kratos' mind, another writer or director could reinterpret this scene very differently. This is exactly what happened with Pandora's Box in God of War 3, by the way. Now, I've said this many times before, but making this Athena the real deal wouldn't take that much mental gymnastics to justify it. This Athena behaves exactly like the Athena from God of War 3. They are both jerks to Kratos, they both seem to appear out of nowhere, and they both seem to ignore the laws of physics. So I wouldn't be too surprised if in another entry of the series, it gets retconned that this Athena was the real deal. And again, when I say the real deal, I mean whoever is behind Athena and the rift from God of War Ragnarok. Now, in this video, I also want to make probably my boldest prediction ever. I want to predict something that will happen in the last game of the series, or at least a very important game in the series that marks the end of a saga or something. Think of this God of War game as Avengers Endgame, for example. For this game, I want to predict that Santa Monica will finally reveal the mystery of who blew the horn.
Somebody just called the serpent.
The topic of the horn is probably the most fun topic to talk about in the God of War community. After God of War 2018, people theorized that it might have been Atreus from the future, Faye from the past, Tyr who was hiding somewhere, and even more recently Angrboda herself. But it's clear to me now that Santa Monica will not address this mystery for a very long time. Back when the rumors of the DLC started to emerge, I thought the DLC could be a Faye prequel game, which would have been a great way to finally address the topic of who blew the horn before closing the Norse chapter once and for all. But the DLC came and went and we still don't know what the deal with the horn is. And I doubt very much we'll get an answer to it while Kratos and Atreus are in Egypt. Given how much build up the community has given the horn, whenever it gets revealed, it has to be a very pivotal moment in this series. That's why I think the mystery will be answered whenever the higher plane of existence gets officially revealed in the series. And if my theory is correct and these two vortices are somehow related to the higher plane of existence, then my prediction for the horn is very likely. Because if you remember, the horn was blown soon after this vortex appeared right above Kratos' home. Maybe Kratos' worry for his loved ones is somehow related to the opening of this vortex. The first time he was worried about Atreus' life, and the second time he was worried about Mimir's. What if someone from the higher plane of existence is using Kratos' new growth to enter the physical world? What if this someone is already here? I'll be honest, this is not the best theory I've ever done. It might feel like you just heard me talk a lot without actually saying anything. And that's because the topic of the higher plane of existence is very vague. We don't know why this vortex appeared right above Kratos' home. I don't know if the higher plane of existence tricked Kratos into thinking this was Helios so he would fall towards them. I still don't know what was up with the rift or the mask. There's so many unknowns surrounding this topic that it's very hard for me to give a definitive answer. But I can feel it in my scrot that the horn, the vortex, and Kratos are somehow intertwined with the mystical place we call the higher plane of existence. So there you have it guys, my theory on what the Valhalla vortex was. Let me know what you think about it. Now as always, I want to give a big thanks to all of my members for supporting the channel monthly. If it wasn't for you guys, this channel would not be where it is today. So from the bottom of my higher plane of existence heart, thank you. I would also like to thank everyone who likes and shares my videos. I know it doesn't seem like much, but trust me, it really does help. And with that said, thanks for watching. And remember, go forth in the name of Valhalla.